from the year before kind of thing.
Well, I just
I'm
thought
trying
that's
to
what
grow,
it
I'm
did.
trying to grow it out, Tim. It just not working, man. It's just, you know.
It's overrated.
For a copy.
You read them off. I miss them when they're small. I do, you know, because then they become teenagers. That's right. Sorry? Yeah, you have a wedding? I do.
I like that.
That part's fine, yeah, and I keep telling everybody, I'm like, I'm the mom. Really? I'm the mom.
Yeah,
Luckily, Bridezilla agrees with me.
Good.
Wow, the men.
I thought I was gonna freak out. Thank God I only had one to do.
Who knows if Joanna will ever get married like that? You've met my daughter Joanna. She may like get a little big, Vegas or whatever. Once Cool Island.
That's what I thought. Exactly. That's it.
Yeah,
That's what I thought. 2C variances.
we'll see when we get to that.
Not B variances when you go into the use, that's when you have to accuse yourself. I never heard you accusing yourself for a C variance.
No, it's a zoning issue, isn't it? Isn't it? Aren't we acting as a
We
zoning?
have more people. Well, my younger daughter, I think she's speaking on behalf of my older daughter, keeps reminding me, this is not about you, Mom. I'm like, you're wrong, it is all about me.
It's always about me.
I said to my daughter, what do you want me to do? She said, well, you make the decisions and you execute them.
Okay, that's clear, and pay for them.
What's up, John?
That's what that
Oh,
means.
don't, just, there's kind of point where there came a point, I just stopped adding it up. I know.
Seriously, we're looking in the catering hall, and she's like, we need to rent another bar. I'm like, how much is that gonna cost? Yeah, Maritime Park at New Jersey City, at Liberty State Park.
Oh my God.
No, because they want me to be bankrupt after this. We're setting the bar high, she's the oldest one.
All right, Jen.
Good evening. I'd like to call the February 9th, 2022 East Amwell Township Planning Board meeting to order. If you would, please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, this is a regular scheduled meeting pursuant to the annual meeting notice as published in the January 27th, 2022 issue of the Hunter County Democrat. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Hunter County Democrat, filed in the Township Clerk's office, and posted on the bulletin board and Township website on February 7th, 2022. Mark Castellano.
Here.
Tamara Lee.
Here.
Angela Lovisa.
Here.
John Mills.
Here.
Mike Mills. Natalie Nelson.
Here.
Jackson Ryder. John Saramba.
Here.
Marnie Stetson.
Here.
Tim Willie.
here.
Planner Gable.
Here.
And Attorney Mazars.
Here.
Under new business, we're going to put the resignation of board member Jackson Ryder.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Can I get a motion to open to the public for items not on the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Open to the public for items not on the agenda. Anybody? Francis?
Sure. Francis Gavigan, 123 Brooksville Road, Greenwood, New Jersey. Do you have any plans to do anything about fixing the side yard setbacks, the things, especially in the village area, that people have been asking for the last 2 years and then got put over in favor of, 25-acre zoning and other kinds of things? These are cheap, simple, easy fixes that make a big difference in people's lives. And if you look at the number of bulk variances that you've been granting people from setbacks and whatever, that cost them thousands of dollars, it's inexcusable not to do something. It's hopefully a quieter year, but maybe you can get 1 or 2 of your members to look at those setbacks and see if they fit the new millennium. I know the old sliding scale kind of thing would drive you crazy, Krista, and I know other people. I mean, something as simple as when somebody wants a generator. Everywhere else in the state of New Jersey, all you have to be is 10 feet off the property line. Here in New Jersey, they treat it like it's a structure if you were building a barn, which is ridiculous and forces people into a process. And I think that there would be a lot of people in the village alone, as well as the Emerald Valley District, because when that went to 10-acre zoning, it created a number of non-conforming lots. And so I know my next door neighbor would be happy to, see some reason put into it as opposed to whatever. That's it.
Thank you, Francis. Anybody else? Can I get a motion to close to the public, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve the reorganization minutes?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? There are no resolutions for approval. Moving on, new business. 147 Lewis Street LLC, 2C bulk variances, 12 Boss Road, Ringgoes, New Jersey, Block 11, Lot 5. It's the Village District.
Good
Welcome.
evening.
Good evening.
Pat Cirillo, attorney for the applicant.
And I'm sorry, before you begin, the governing body members have to step off the dais, yes.
They don't like the job.
But you have to come back later.
Don't go too far.
Good.
Okay, very good.
So this is an application for a single-family home to be built on an existing lot. There was a home here all the way back to 1915, I believe. My client will testify tonight about what her plan is, when she bought the lot, what she plans to do with it, and give us, show us some renderings of what the proposed home is gonna look like, so the board can see that. There are a number of variances required for this lot. It's an undersized lot in the zone. We'll also have, besides Veronica Nicole Campy testifying, we will have our planner testifying tonight, Tony Hajar, with regard to addressing the memorandum from your planner. All right, so.
And for the record, sir, your name?
Patrick Cirillo, Cerillo.
Thank you.
Yep. So if we could begin with swearing in Ms. Nicole Campy.
Ms. Campy, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give with regard to this application will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So Ms. Campy, could you tell the board when, well, first of all, you are the managing member of the LLC that owns the property?
Yes.
All right. And when did you purchase the property? Approximately.
Going back maybe like 4 years ago or something.
Yeah. And at the time you purchased the property, there was an existing home on the property?
Yes, there was.
And did you demolish that home?
Yes.
You had a permit to do that?
Yes.
And if you could tell the board, what was your plan when you demolished the house? What do you want to do with this property?
Well, our original plan was to refurbish that home and, you know, make it look a lot nicer, but then we had a couple of contractors come in and they said that that was not possible. So we knocked it down and we're proposing to build a 3-bedroom home there.
I was given a rendering. I'm going to show you something. I just marked it A1 for identification. Is this the proposed home that you want to put on the property? And I'm not sure, just getting into this file with you, does the board have a copy of this rendering? I'm not sure.
No.
Can we, it's the only one I have, but
Sure. And what are we calling this? Well,
A1.
okay, well, it's going to have to reside now with Krista, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So if, yeah,
So it's a description, it's a picture of the model of the home.
and I
Okay.
apologize, I don't have copies for everyone, I just got this myself last night. So this is what you would call a Victorian-style home
Yes,
that you plan, and how many bedrooms is it gonna be?
3,
3 bedrooms, and how many bathrooms?
2,
And is it 2-car garage?
yes.
And what is your plan if the board were to grant the approvals that you need to build? When would you be proposing to get this thing going?
Yesterday, but,
Okay,
as soon as possible. It's going to be a modular home, so, you know, we went that route because of the expense with, you know, the construction and, you know, everything going up, so we decided to go modular instead of stick build. Go up faster. We've been through this, like I said, for 4 years now. We just want to get this over with and done with.
and have you talked to any of the neighbors about whether do you have the ability to actually add more land to make this lot comply with the current zoning?
we sent a letter to some, one of the neighbors, but that wasn't one of them that owned the property behind us or next to us, so.
I mean, is it economically feasible for you to add land to this if you could get someone to sell you land?
No, it's too expensive. This is a hardship for us already as it is. We've put in so much money with this between, going back and forth with the septic and the well and all too many expenses that we just bought the land to just build this house and that's it. That's what we purchased it for, so.
One of the questions that was raised in one of the memorandum from Elena Gable is, could you provide testimony as to the color and the materials that you're proposing for the dwelling? The rendering that I just gave to the board, A1, has a color on it, but is that necessarily the color? Can you just tell the board what you're thinking in terms of the color scheme for the property
I think
and the materials?
Well, it's modular, and we're thinking about going with a white house right now. I mean, that's not 100%, what we're going to do, but, it's probably going to be white.
Okay. And there was a question about, with regard to the plans that were filed with your application, there's only one window in the back of the house, I guess, on the renderings that were submitted. And one of the questions was, are you considering adding any windows to the
Yes.
rear of the property?
Yes.
All right. And you can do that at the time you file for building permits?
Yes.
I have no other questions for the applicant herself with regard to her plans are for the property. So if the board has questions for her, shoot away.
Can we bring this witness back? 'Cause I don't know if my questions are for this witness or for the applicant, or for the plan.
Sure.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to ask you. As long as we can recall this witness.
Okay.
I do have a question. I just wanted to clarify that I meant the left elevation in the report. It's only one window on the first floor. And as you drive down Boss Road, you'll tend to see that facade. So I was just asking if additional windows could be added to that facade.
Yeah, I mean, I like windows, so I would definitely probably add,
couple
more
of-
windows.
Sure.
And Tim, I got just one question. Have you gotten in front of the Board of Health yet for the septic and well?
Yeah,
So you have your septic design approved
Yeah.
by the County Board of Health?
yes.
You got the well certification done?
Yes.
Okay. So you're ready to go. If you were to get an approval,
Yes.
you could submit your building plans to zoning
Yeah.
and construction. Okay. Any other questions for her? And we will bring her back if you so desire. Yes.
When I was at the property, in the front middle, between the two sewer grates, there's a pile of rocks, and on the diagram, there's just this rectangle with hash marks.
Huh?
Do you know what the plans are for that?
Take it out.
Okay.
I don't
no.
know. That's
I
probably
just-
not. It's all gonna be
doesn't-
grass, and it's gonna be beautiful. It's going to make it look that area beautiful there. Right now, it's a postage stamp and it looks terrible. There's nothing there. It's gonna look nice. It's
You're
gonna,
gonna have a landscaper as well?
Yes.
If I can get back to Elena's question, I'm sorry, were you?
I'm done.
About the windows, I'm just looking at the floor plans. The one window that is there appears to be in the dining room. Looks like maybe there's room for another window in the living room. And then on the second floor, there's a master bedroom and bedroom number 2, neither of which have windows on that end.
Like
of
I
the
said,
house.
I like windows. I mean, and I would definitely add windows, especially in the master bedroom. Like, why wouldn't?
Right,
I don't-
so we could, if the board were inclined to approve this, but making conditioned upon there be a window in each of those rooms.
Which, because this has, I don't know which.
No, it's the left elevation, so it's the side elevation of the house.
Oh, the side,
You're facing
yeah.
at the left side.
I did speak to the builder about that at one point, and we did talk about that, so we would definitely put windows there.
Windows at
Yeah,
You're not opposed to it if that's a condition of approval?
No.
You're not opposed to that?
no.
Any other? Yes.
I have another question. I just noticed that in reviewing the plans, it doesn't appear as though some of the floor area necessarily lines up from what's on the plan and what's in the application.
Yeah, I was gonna have Mr. Hajar
Oh,
deal
perfect.
with that. Yep.
Sure.
I saw that on your memo.
Great.
All right, so I'll have her step down and we'll,
Will any members of the public have questions? Just questions of this witness's testimony?
Switch seats, please. My next witness is Tony Hajar, if you could swear him in.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give with regard to this application will be the truth so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Can you please state your name, your full name, and spell your last name for the board?
First name is Antoine. Last name is Hajar, Hajjar.
Mr. Hajar, are you a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I am.
Could you, for the benefit of the board, tell us your credentials, education, and licenses held?
Yeah, I have a master's degree from Rutgers University back in 1997. I got my professional engineering license in 2004, professional land surveyor in 2012, and professional licensed planner in 2012 as well.
And do you work for any boards as a planner or an engineer at this time?
Yes, I'm the township engineer over at Raritan Township. I'm also the township planner and zoning officer.
And are there any boards you've testified before? I understand you haven't testified before this board before.
That's correct.
Yeah. Any other boards that you've testified?
Yeah, I've testified throughout the state of New Jersey, mostly Morris County.
I have no other questions with regard to the board during his expertise, and I would move to admit him as an expert as a professional planner in the state of New Jersey.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hajar, have you had a chance to look at the Ms. Gable's memorandum dated February 1st, 2022?
Yes, I have.
If you would please, for my benefit as well as the board, go through the questions that she's raised here, and I'll let you just do your own narrative, and unless I see something, I'm going to jump in and interrupt you.
Sure. So I would like to submit a couple exhibits to the board, if I may. I don't know how, just bring them to you, or?
Well, I'm going to mark A2 on this next one. That's the tax
Okay.
map.
That's, yeah. This is a portion of the tax map, map 301. And I have enough copies for all the board members.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
So this is a portion of the tax map, map 301. And all the boxes that you see before you is basically the acreage that I got from the assessment records. And just our lot is, the small lot to the left is 0.53 acres gross, 0.46 acres net. The adjacent lot to the right to it is 0.25 acres. The next lot is lot 8, is 0.35 acres. And I could go through them, but the smallest lot that I see on the tax map is lot 20, which is 0.13 acres. And the largest lot is actually lot 16, which is 5.48 acres.
And that's all
But
village zone? Those are
That's all
village
in the
zone.
village zone, correct.
Okay.
The other thing is, the next exhibit is the existing dwelling, a picture, it's a street view of the existing dwelling.
So this is A3, the previous was A2, right?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Krista, what are we gonna call this?
I would just, it would be the previous dwelling.
Yeah, this is a street
So,
view,
we'll call it
Google
pho-
Maps street view for the
Right,
existing dwelling.
so photo existing dwelling today's date, so if you wanna mark
Yeah.
today's date on it.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's a hole in the ground now.
Photo previous dwelling.
Prior existing dwelling.
Existing, yeah. I was out there in the snow almost.
I know, me too. Maybe I was looking wrong.
And as you can see from the picture, basically it's dilapidated. The garage is in bad shape, and I believe all the contractors that Ms. Campion engaged advised her that the structure wasn't safe. And it kind of coincides with your study that was done by Banish Associate, Ringo Village Study, that was done in December 2014, which basically states that a lot of the houses were abandoned and were in bad shape, and they're not fixable. So to provide you with the positive and negative criteria, it is a hardship. The C1 hardship, the lot pre-existing the zoning ordinance, and the size of it hasn't changed. Just make sure. So the net area based on the definition of the lot area is 0.46, and the requirement is 1 acre. The other variance that we're looking at is the lot depth, which is 109.3, and the minimum required lot depth is 150 feet. So we shortened that as well. I believe this is a pre-existing non-conforming condition. In my opinion, even though the lot is undersized, we meeting all the bulk variances for the proposed dwelling. We even meet the lot coverage as well. And making this lot twice as big is not gonna fit in the character of that neighborhood. All the lots are small. All the lots doesn't have the adequate frontage or the lot depth. In my opinion, this fits in that neighborhood.
And this is a residential zone, and with regard to the municipal land use law goals of the law and the master plan, are we consistent with the uses that are anticipated or actually required in this zone? It's a residential zone, right?
Yeah, it's a residential zone, the use is permitted. And furthermore, I mean, based on the tax map I provided you with, 13 out of the 14 lots are undersized and way undersized than the property we're talking about. I believe that the variance can be granted without any substantial detriment to the public goods. As a matter of fact, since that structure was unsafe and dilapidated, it's probably a benefit to the public good. I also believe that the variance can be granted without substantially impairing the intent and purpose of the zone or the master plan. I believe that by demolishing the structures, we actually made the dwelling and the lot more conforming. The existing rear yard setback to the existing dwelling was 14.4 feet, where 25 is required. Now we comply. The detached garage was 10.5 feet from the rear yard, where 15 is required. We eliminated that garage. So, you want me to go through the rest of the comment?
Yeah, if you could reconcile the square footage was one of the issues.
So the square footage, 940 square feet is the first floor, 1913 is the second floor. The footprint of the proposed dwelling is 1466, which is 940 first floor plus the garage, which is 526. So the architecturals did not include the footprint of the garage.
I think that was, let me just see, the last page. Character of neighborhood.
I mean, there's question 11 about the applicant shall provide testimony pertaining to outside agency relief. The letter of certification from Soil Conservation District is for both the demolition and the new residence. I don't know if you want to mark I had the Soil Conservation District revised that letter to state so. So that could be exhibit
The A4.
A4.
What's the date on that?
It's the same date as the prior report.
February
which-
9th, 2022, letters of certification.
Okay, February 9, 2022, correct.
Today.
I have no other questions for Mr. Hajar at this time.
I'm sorry, what was the square footage of the garage again?
526?
526?
I believe so, yeah.
So 940 for the footprint of the dwelling portion, and 526 on top of that for the garage.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, next to it.
Next to the
Yeah,
garage, yeah.
next to it.
Okay. All right, and that math adds up to the 1466. I see that, okay.
Questions, anybody?
Is Elena going to go through her report? Because she may hit some of my points. Or do you want us to ask questions first? Doesn't matter.
If you think she's gonna,
You can go through my report first. Doesn't matter to me. Sure. So I know you just provided a lot of testimony about things, but can you just confirm the lot area, using the net area rather than the gross?
So the gross is 053 acres, and the net is .46. I believe that's what you have in your report as well.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the net is 0.46 acres. Because there is within the grandfather clause of the ordinance, which allows homes to be developed on undersized lots provided they're half an acre or more. There is a requirement that the non-conforming lot does not abut vacant land, and if the subject lot abuts developed land, the subject non-conforming lot is the largest possible assemblage of contiguous land under the ownership of the applicant, which might be utilized for the proposed use. And then there's an exception for the Amwell Valley District. So one of my comments in my report was kind of asking whether the applicant considered assembling additional land just to bring it up to that half an acre threshold. And the applicant stated how, it wasn't financially possible, but in the eyes of the municipal land use law, a financial hardship is different than a hardship required to prove a variance. So I was wondering if the planner could provide some additional testimony to that end?
I memean, the bottom line is by making the lot 1 acre, I think is, with the house of 1,500 square feet, approximately 1,500 square feet, it's not gonna look similar to the rest of the houses. I mean, you got this piece of land with the house in the center and vacant on either side. In my opinion, from a planning perspective, keeping that lot the same size will coincide more with the rest of the area.
But has there been any effort made to contact those adjacent properties owners to see if?
So I wrote a letter, I just got into the case 2 days ago. I reviewed everything that was filed. I thought I had the neighboring large piece, Black River Western Farm, I thought it was, and I got an address for them, and I wrote to them to ask if they would consider a lot line adjustment.
Okay,
I thought we needed a half acre, not an acre, but I wrote to them, I got a call back from a man who said his land does not abut our property.
okay.
And then I called him again, and we played telephone tag, because I said, well, you know, who owns that big piece? And I did see in your memo this morning, two owners, the north property, which is, it looks like 5 acres or more.
Yeah, there's one to the north that's oversized for the zone, and
Yeah.
then there's also one to the left,
Right.
just to the west, I
So,
guess.
just eyeballing it, it looked like, hey, that seems reasonable if I can get a lot line adjustment.
Right.
And I would have to write to the right people now, now that I see, when I looked at your lot and blocks, and then the tax map, I saw the one's an LLC and one's a private person
Okay.
that I could write to see, are we saying, so we need 1/10 more additional land or a whole half acre? Because we have 0.46.
0.46, you need 0.04, which is really de minimis, in my opinion, to go through a lot line adjustment.
Well, you said the grandfather ordinance would give us the exception for if we had a half acre, right? Is that?
Well, that's what they're asking for, the undersized lot.
Yeah, so it's at least half the minimum lot size required.
So we
May
need
have a
half acre
construction.
net?
Right, and then if you were able to meet that half an acre, which is half the minimum lot size of the village zone, because the village zone requires, I believe, 1 acre net area. So if you're able to meet that half the minimum lot size, you wouldn't even need the variance to be here tonight.
So
Because
it's
you
a
would qualify
0.4
for this grandfather clause in the ordinance.
Yeah, so 0.46, I need, what do I need? I need 46 and 05,
04, 0.04,
0.04. I mean, certainly, I can write to both property, you know, the logical one would be the back, just move that back.
Right.
That'll give us more depth as well.
Exactly.
I can write to them, obviously, I just saw that today when I looked at your memo.
Sure.
We can try that and see. I know my client, in terms of, you're right, the municipal land use law doesn't care about how much money it's gonna cost you to do it. But I can certainly do that if the board's not inclined to give us an affirmative vote tonight. I would certainly, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Can I ask, so this lot 16, 5.48, is that the Case property?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's one of the case properties or not.
I'm just bringing it up, if that is the Case property, that's still an estate property.
Yeah, you won't get.
There's not gonna be no lot line adjustments at all.
The old Ritzmacher property.
I got lot 16, block 11, is 27 John Ringo Road, that's Jennifer A. Frank.
Okay.
And then block 11, lot 4 is Claude Case Inc.
Yeah, that's tied up.
Yep.
You're not gonna get anything
You
for
won't get
that.
anything out of that.
why I
That's the
brought
one
this
to the
up.
west of us.
Yeah.
The one to the north is Jennifer A. Frank, who,
Elena, if the,
Because they want to subdivide.
if they don't need a variance, if it's a net acre,
Right.
how many feet on that lot, I mean, how many feet back would you need to go from 0.46 to 0.5?
I'm not entirely sure.
It's about 1,700 square feet.
Yeah.
It's basically, let me get my phone to work here, 0.04 times 43,560, 1742 square feet, 1,742 square feet.
Right, so
And the
now,
back of the property is 185 feet across.
right, so how many,
So that's, you're gonna need 8 or 9 feet
Yeah,
Across the
of depth, all the way across the back.
yes, correct.
But they're here for the variance, and the testimony's on the record. Might as well just proceed with
Yeah,
see where it goes.
yeah.
But
I mean, again, the gross area is 0.53, which we meet by, but based on your definition, we don't meet it, we need a variance.
Any more questions? Or you,
if she's done, I have a few questions.
I know that there was testimony provided about the color and materials. It's likely going to be a white home. But the type of materials, I'm still not entirely sure of, other than it's just going to be modular materials. Do you know what materials those are typically?
I can bring my client back up, she's still under oath. Ron, do you have any insight in?
I mean, right now, I'm thinking vinyl siding.
Okay.
that's most modulars, I mean,
Yeah.
vinyl siding, yeah, you don't send a house down the road
Yeah.
with anything else on it but vinyl.
No, testimony was given about adding additional windows to the left facade. We heard testimony about the floor area. The planner provided testimony about whether the dwelling fits in with the character of the neighborhood. And then I just have one more comment in my report about just to confirm compliance with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and development fees pursuant to township ordinances. I believe this application would, since the new construction build, would need 1.5%
It's
to
1.5.
equalize assessed
Yes.
value.
We will comply with that.
Okay, great.
I don't think we have a choice, right?
No, we don't.
There's something in that I didn't include in my report, but it was just recently brought to my attention that this property is actually in the Ringo's Historic District. And I don't believe there's any existing ordinance that kind of regulates anything along these lines. But is it your opinion that the house kind of fits in with the historic character of the neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, if it's in within that area, it definitely does.
So it's a Victorian facade, if you look at A1, the rendering, it's a, Brian calls it a Victorian facade.
I think it's just important for the record to, your application says it's not an historic district. I think it's just important for the record to say that it is. We don't have an ordinance that really governs architecture in the historic district or,
So noted, so, yeah, I mean, if that's the zone we're in,
It's an overlay, yeah.
it's an overlay, then we acknowledge that.
And that's all from my report.
Excellent. Yeah, no, go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I appreciate why the site plan is set up the way it is. Because this is an undersized lot, we have to sort of look at the site plan and make sure that it still works. I mean, normally we wouldn't look at a site plan just for variance application. But because it's an undersized lot, we really can't grant the variances unless we know the site plan works. So that's why you provided all that information, and I appreciate that. And because there's no lot depth, that's why I assume that's one of the reasons that septic system's on the side of the house instead of behind the house.
That's correct.
Which makes a lot of sense. I'm looking at the drainage. I'm not an engineer, but I know something about drainage. And I do have some concerns, so maybe you can address them.
Sure.
it looks like it's gonna be a mounted septic system,
Yes,
and the swale to the west appears to flow off-site and direct water off-site. And I'm a little concerned about that.
I mean, the swale to the west basically flows around the septic and discharges towards the road, which will end up in that catch basin in the middle of the lot.
Right, but it doesn't discharge to the road without first going onto the adjoining property, if you follow the center of that swale line.
Yeah, I mean, the last contour kind of brings it towards the road. I mean, I didn't design this by any means.
Did you design that?
No, that was done by a different company.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were the
Yeah, but
engineer of record.
no, I'm not.
Okay,
But for
But
the record, you are an
I could
engineer.
testify as an engineer, correct?
Okay.
okay. All right, well then I may ask you some questions you can't answer. Big picture, let me just tell you what I'm thinking. The house has a side loading garage, so I'm assuming that that turnaround area is probably about 30 feet. I haven't scaled it.
It looks like 30,
From the garage to the edge of the pavement?
Yes,
Okay.
that's 30 feet. It's labeled actually on the left side,
Right.
the plot plan.
What I'm imagining is if it was a front-loading garage and you didn't have that extra 30 feet, we might have, there might be some more room to, pull the septic system in, move the house over a little bit, pull the septic system in, and you'll have room on both sides for a little bit more swale to go directly to the street. I'm concerned that the swale to the east is a little narrow, and I am still concerned that the swale to the west directs water off of the property, and, New Jersey law doesn't let you do that. So, and I see that there are 3 catch basins in the street.
There's 3 catch basin on our side, and there's a couple across the street as well,
Right. And
which is not shown on this plan, but
Right.
when I visited the site,
Right. The fact that there are so many, usually catch basins are, 300, 600 feet apart? And these are,
yeah,
there's
300
so many
feet,
here.
300 feet.
I'm wondering if there's a flooding issue here? And does the stormwater, are the pipes in this road large enough to carry extra runoff? Although you are, you're under on the impervious cover, and that's great, but if these swales don't work, I would just like to have some assurance.
I mean, again, the swale to the west, I'm sure the engineer could tweak it a little bit more to direct that water away from the neighbor. The swale to the east, I mean, it's perfect. I mean, it looks like everything's gonna drain into that catch basin.
Well, again, if it was front-loading, there would be less impervious, so there would be less draining into that swale.
Yeah, but the drainage area are so small. I mean, you're talking about half an acre lot.
Understood.
Or less.
As long as there's no drainage problem already.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any drainage issues. I mean, I don't know if anybody from the board knows.
I don't know either, but do you acknowledge that having this many catch basins in such a small area is kind of atypical?
Yeah, I mean, again, they may have redone the road, creating, a different area where the low points are, and had to add additional grades, I'm not sure. But it doesn't mean it's because of flooding.
Okay, well, then let's, I think all we can say is there's an unknown that, I don't know that we have an answer to, and I'm a little uncomfortable with that. But let me go on. Are any there's some trees along the back, are those on this property, or are they on adjoining properties?
I believe they're on our property.
Are they gonna remain?
That's for,
It looks like the grading comes pretty close to the property.
I mean, I believe the intention is to put landscaping in, but I'm not sure to what extent, so.
No, I'm just wondering if the
existing
existing trees are gonna remain.
Yes.
There's a hedgerow, they will.
Yes.
Great. All right, that's really all I have. I'll save the rest of my comments for deliberation, but thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else, questions?
I have one last question. What types of landscaping are you proposing for?
Bushes, trees, I don't know.
It's like kind of like foundation plantings, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine, thanks.
Everybody good? Anybody from the public have questions? Sir?
Stay here?
No, come forward and state your name, please, for the record.
My name is George Somjen, Sierra Oscar Mike Juliet Echo November. I'm here representing my daughter Kimberly, same last name, who owns 8 Boss Road, Lot 5. I'm here exactly for the swale and flooding. But before I do, the construction, the stone, sir, is construction stone on the drawing.
Okay.
There is enormous flooding on Boss Road. In fact, I just sent my daughter a message to send me some videos from some of the recent storms. I was here specifically because you folks have the same plot plan I do, I assume, 1229? The broken dotted lines, for example, behind the home, are current topography. The solid lines below them are proposed topography. If you look in the upper right, where it says proposed soil compaction, you start at 332 feet.
This sounds like testimony. We're just asking questions of the planner's testimony.
I'm sorry.
Because if you'd like to testify later, we'll swear you in, but
Oh.
but there'll be a time for that. This
I'm
is just
sorry,
if you have any questions for the planner.
No, I guess not. Sorry, okay.
Alrighty. Okay, any more witnesses?
That's all we have. I guess now it's public comment.
Okay. Now it's public comment slash testimony. I apologize. I thought that there was another witness. I heard 2 names in the beginning, 2 witnesses plus the planner. I thought I heard 2 witness names. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. I wouldn't make you walk back there.
Okay.
Okay, could you please raise your right hand? Because I'm
Sorry.
going to swear you in. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give with regard to this application will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And if you could please state your name again for the
Sure.
record, and just
George.
spell your last name?
George Somjen, Sierra Oscar Mike Juliet Echo November. My daughter Kimberly, same last name, is the owner of 8 Boss Road, Lot 5. The property, there is a swale that runs down the property line presently. This topography shows a drop from 332 feet in the right rear presently to 328 in the lower right-hand corner proposed. As Ms. Lee suggested, there's enormous flooding on Boss Road. She just sent me pictures from the last storms if you want to pass them around. There's enormous flooding, and that's the reason there are all those drains along there. I came specifically for one reason, in the hope that perhaps planting some trees along there would absorb roots, shrubs, whatever, would absorb some additional runoff. But apparently you've got concerns about it being a bigger issue, which I suppose is legitimate. This will create more runoff into my daughter's property as well. And I didn't quite hear everything you said about the septic, but you're not proposing to move it to the other side of the house if you move the driveway, are you? Is
No,
that-
no, I was simply recognizing that the reason the septic is probably on the side is because there's no depth to the lot, because otherwise it would probably be put in the back.
Okay.
That's all I was.
Because moving to the other side would be worse for my daughter's property. So I have her survey if you'd like to have it for your records. But her property is only 2 foot wide from her garage, running just to the east of that storm drain in the lower right-hand corner. And I can tell you now, and I've got photos if you'd like to pass around, there's enormous flooding there. That 5 acres, by the way, Miss Frank was not interested in selling me any of that land when she bought it, nor was Miss Gritzmacher. We tried several times, but good luck. In fact, Miss Frank, when she bought the property, my daughter's back fence was, I think, 3 feet over. She made us move it. So she didn't want to sell then. So I'm here because of the drainage concern.
Can we take that as an exhibit? I'd like to see.
Yes, yeah, we can take that as an exhibit. That's objector
I'm sorry, the
exhibit
survey?
01.
The survey or?
The survey, whatever you
Sure.
have, you can submit.
Well, you have the plot plan, you don't need that.
What number is this?
01.
01.
01, objector 1.
Do you plan on making a decision tonight?
Well, it
Don't know.
Don't know.
depends
Okay.
on how the applicant would like to proceed.
You know,
Applicant's application.
the problem is that 5 acres behind both the properties, all that water drains down in this direction. So those swales, to the east of my daughter's house, on the survey, you see a little to the right, it shows macadam, M-A-C. That's the neighbors. There's actually a 10-foot wide piece that belongs to the 5 acres, to Miss Frank, formerly Miss Gritzmacher. So that's where the water accumulates on the east side of my daughter's property. And on her west side, it's in this swale. And my only concern, or her concern, is any additional runoff, especially since a driveway's going in there that was not there before. That there'll be significant flooding again. I don't know if you want to take a look at some photos from the recent storms.
Well, we would have to be able to keep them in the records. I don't think
I
you're gonna
I
give
can
us your
forward
phone.
them to Ms. Parsons if you'd like. Can I do, I could do that, is that okay if I do that now? Is
Well,
that-
no, I mean, you have to present it to the board during the hearing so that anyone who's here,
Okay.
everyone can see them, and especially the applicant will
I'm
be able
certainly
to
will-
cross-examine you.
I'm certainly willing to let everybody see the pictures. Forwarding them now is too late, I guess, right?
And by the way, I didn't talk to anybody when I.
Everybody
when I
lives
saw
in
this
East
thing.
Stanwell, right? Everybody. Well, I live an hour away and I know it floods, so there's no question you folks know it floods there. So by all means, we're happy to have a new home there. That was a disgrace, what was there before. My daughter certainly welcomes a new home, but we're only concerned about additional flooding into that swale that will now extend into her property. Thank you.
Well, I mean, the only thing I was gonna say is I didn't speak with any neighbors when I went out there, but it just seemed to me, I've never, not never, when I see catch basins that are this close together, it just tells me there's a flooding problem. So I guessed at that. I live on the other side of town.
You have to comply with Soil Conservation District, right?
That's correct, yeah. We got certified from Soil Conservation District.
Well, they don't necessarily look like it.
I mean, we don't have a problem putting a couple shrubs along the property, but again, I don't
That's
wanna
not gonna
impede
hold
on
the
the swale
Yeah.
and cause problems. You know, we may have bigger problems if, you know, the volcanoes around the tree is gonna impede with this flow,
Yeah.
the water flow.
I agree. I don't think planting is gonna help the issue.
And especially if we do bushes and something like that, it's not gonna absorb
No,
that
that's not
much.
gonna absorb anything either.
They'll be required to do stormwater review with a new build.
And who does the stormwater review?
Bill does.
Bill, the engineer.
Okay, I mean, if
So it's definitely gonna be addressed.
If
Yes.
Bill looks, if
Yeah.
Bill were to look at this.
Any new development, it's required in East Stanwell to have a stormwater management review.
Right. I mean, I didn't know it was done by Bill. Sometimes it's done by construction.
No, it's done through Mazer.
It's done through Mason?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. If necessary, Counselor, would the applicant be willing to do a front-loading garage, or is that out of the question?
No, can't do it. Somebody
Will not do a front-loading garage?
Can't.
It's not will, can't,
Can't.
because the
Okay,
modular can't change it.
Okay, I'm sorry, but
I'm sorry.
you were not sworn in. so- If you'd like to be sworn in, then you can
All
testify.
right, now, do you want to swear me in?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah,
This is Paula Anastasio.
okay.
Hi.
Raise your right hand.
Okay, can you please, oh, thank you. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give with regards to this application will be the truth so help you God?
I do.
And can you please spell your last name?
Anastasio.
Thank you.
I'm her realtor.
So, yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. So what's the issue with changing the modular?
Well, the modular company can only do so many additions, and right now, my recommendation was always to do the Victorian model, because I believe, I'm also historic designate for Weichert, and I am on a lot of historic boards, and I felt that a sweet Victorian would be very complimentary to the little town. I mean, that's why I told her, that was my recommendation. Again, when Veronica called me to look at this house that she bought at auction without seeing, too many people watch Flip This House, she was not from our area, did not know anything, and just happened to look me up. And I knew that once I brought a couple contractors that house had to be condemned. There are many houses in Ringo's that are like falling apart. But so then we had to go to the drawing board, and my recommendation, we had to go through all these modular companies, because some of them are not that good. And I knew that was going to be important to come before the board, that it had to be the right house to fit it. And so we went from one modular company, you say, why 4 years, to another one, for materials, for recommendations. And we finally, after 7 modular companies, we found a really good one with a good product, and found someone to help. Now remember, this woman she works for a pharma company. She's never done construction, so she's leaned on a lot of people and myself to understand Hunterdon County and understand how it works. So we finally found this bright little, I think it's a sweet house, and it fits in with the rest of the community. Originally did not come with a garage, and that would be lovely, and a lot of them don't, but you're not going to be able to sell a house today without a garage, because it could be as charming as you want, but millennials or whoever wants it needs a garage. So it's fine trying to get this house to make it with the garage, and they told us that that's the only way they can do it. So remember, this is modular. They it's not like you could just change things custom. They have a pattern of doing things. So I was told by the Westchester Modular Company that that's the only way we could do it. So, and believe me, I've worked very hard to try to get something that would blend in. And we are in a crisis here. In East Amwell Township, you have 2 houses for sale. That's it, 2 houses out of all of East Amwell. Raritan Township has 19 in all price points. Delaware Township has 9, and out of the 9, 5 are over $2 million. So you have many people who want to buy homes, and there's nothing. And we have something to add to the community that I think is going to be sweet. I'm very sensitive to making it historic as best we can to fit it in. And like when we say hardship, I know what land use is a hardship, but I recommended Pat recommended the planner. This is someone who's never done this before, and I know it may be not an excuse, but it's a very frightening thing for this young woman, and we're all trying to help her. And I think when it comes down, if you do let her have this, I think it will really be an asset to the community. In planning, and I don't know who's a planner, in cities, we're trying to have smaller lot sizes, and I live on 10 acres, so it's never enough land for me once you come out from where I came from. But in little towns and city towns, people love small little lots and a neighborhood. So I understand it has to be a certain thing, but when you look, as the planner said, that all these homes and these little Victorians are on small lots, that's what Ringo's was all about. So, I mean, I hope you do understand everything she's gone through, and she's tried to get the best people she could, and we're working really hard to be, it's good for East Amwell, it's good for Ringo's, and hopefully, I don't know if she'll make any money over this, but it'll also be good for her. So, that's all I have to say. Any questions for me?
Yeah, who's the modular company?
Westchester Modular.
Out of New York?
No, out of Pennsylvania. Most of the modular companies come out of Pennsylvania. I believe it's hard to find a good one. If anyone has any questions for me.
Members of the public, questions?
Francis Gavigan, still 123 Wurtsville Road. Is this a spec house, or is this gonna be a residence? I don't know if that's relevant.
No, well, it really isn't relevant, but it is a spec home. Remember, she bought this house, she was going to rehab it and turn it around, and unfortunately, it had to be condemned because it was mold and you couldn't rehab it, so that's.
Well, it was like 1,440 feet. What's the square footage of what you're proposing to put in there with the garage?
Well, it's only 1,400 and some feet of living space, but I think the garage is 1,500, so does it come to 1,800?
It's less. The structures are less than what's existing.
Well, you knocked down what was existing.
Yes.
Zillow says it was a 1,440 foot house before it became flat. What's the square footage of the house?
I thought we told them already.
You proposed to put in there?
Just give me a second.
900 on the first floor, 900 on the second, what's it, 9 and 9?
Yeah.
What was it?
Just give me a second.
He was talking about footprint.
Where is it?
I thought we read a mid-testimony to that.
Actually, I need that plan.
I believe you said it was 1840 plus, 940 plus 913.
So
No.
what was existing is 1,536 square feet. That's the detached garage and the dwelling. And what we're proposing is 1,492. It's like 44 square feet less than what we had before.
Footprint,
With the footprint,
they're
correct.
going up.
Well, the existing was 2.5-story dwelling as well.
Okay, so you're saying the footprint is smaller, not the house?
Right.
We're talking different, there's a difference between square
Yeah,
footage
I'm
of
not
the
sure
house.
exactly how big the existing house was.
Okay, so you're saying the footprint is smaller
And
than.
The
Zillow,
footprint
and Zillow
smaller
is
by
not always
44
right.
square feet.
Oh, I'm sorry, one person. Sorry. I think the tax assessor would know what the previous, in fact, I can get the previous house was, because in the MLS, when it was listed, it did not have age. It had age of 1915, but it did not have square footage.
Based on the survey, the footprint of the detached garage and the existing dwelling is 1,536.
I do know that area is a pretty wet area all the way down to where the old bank was in Grange. So it backs up to land that I think where the John Ringo Memorial is.
Yeah, the architectural plans show I don't believe this includes the garage, but it's 940 square feet on the first floor and 913 square feet on the second floor.
That's the proposed.
For the proposed, correct.
Yeah.
Plus the garage.
Plus
Plus
the
the
garage.
garage,
Plus
which
520.
is 22 by.
526, they claimed,
I thought it was
526 square feet on the
20.
garage.
That's correct.
So the footprint's gonna be 1466.
Yeah, and our per tax record for the prior house was 1440.
Not including the garage.
No, not including the garage. That was for the floor area of the house.
The
That
house.
was a house.
Major Consulting is doing the review for stormwater management, they have to comply.
Mm-hmm.
So we can address any of those concerns about the swales to the east and the west. You know, until they dig and do final grading and seeding the septic system, and soil conservation district approval as well, a final soil conservation district approval. There's at least two groups here that are gonna review what my client's doing before she gets to get a CO for anything.
Have you done perks for the septic yet?
It's already approved septic
It is-
design.
it is
The design
totally
is,
approved.
yes.
That was all included in the packet.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Any other questions from the public? Good.
That's all we have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to open to the public for public comment?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. We're open to the public for comment on this application.
I'm sorry, just one more, if I may. The old house was 1,400 footprint or square footage? The demolished house?
Per our tax record, it says 1,440 square feet for the,
That's living space.
the square
footprint
foot.
was not 1,400 feet. No way. The old house was not a 1,400 foot square, it was 2 floors with an attic.
It's the square footage of the
I
footprint,
understand, but
the floor area.
Yeah.
It's the floor area.
Floor area was.
Floor area says 1,440 square feet.
Okay, that would be the floor area of
The
the
whole
whole house.
house.
Of the whole house.
So it was
That's-
2
that's not
stories.
footprint.
So it's 2
Right.
stories, so
700.
It was about 700.
800 plus the garage,
Right.
give or take?
Attached garage, yeah.
It was detached, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
Detached and non-conforming.
Anybody else from the public? Can I get a motion to close the public, please?
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, yeah, let's chat. Angelo, you're on deck.
Okay, good. I always start, you start.
Well, the new house is bigger, has a bigger footprint, because the old house is 700 something square foot footprint plus the garage. The new house has a 1,400 square foot footprint plus the garage. So, don't know the size of the old garage, but if you net it out with the new garage. My main concern, which probably is the other engineer's issue, is the water to flooding, because I also noticed all the catch basins on that road. So, that's my concern, is the flooding.
Well, it's gonna have to, it's gonna
It's gonna have to get
it's gonna
addressed.
get caught in the safety net, so, I mean, it's,
The 7 feet off the back doesn't, I'm
Mhm.
okay with that.
John?
Same way with Angelo, the thing with the 7 and trying to do a lot line adjustment, and then looking at all the other current properties that are along John Ringo Road going to Boss Road, to force a person to try to get 7 feet from somebody who's gonna hold them up for ransom, I'm totally against.
Yeah.
Okay. And if we're gonna start looking into those type of things, I really believe that the Village Advisory Board, Historical Preservation Board, and the Planning Board really have to work together to get this type of zoning issue corrected, so that people don't have to have pay, ransom to a neighbor, or ransom to the township, or whatever the situation is. So I'm just worried about the flooding. I am worried a little bit too that, I'm finding out that this is now a spec house and it's gonna be nobody's gonna be living there to monitor flooding. So if we do approve the variance, I really think we have to put that in the variance. and say that the flooding issue has to be resolved before, construction and permits are given.
Yeah, I agree, definitely flooding. I know people who live on Boss Road, and the last one, it was really bad. So that's definitely my concern. Again, I don't really care about the extra fee in the back, like, that's so minimal, but it's just the flooding.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the lot size. I think, as the testimony bore out, I think the lot size is consistent with the area, so that's fine. I like the fact that there are 2 non-conforming conditions that are going to be conforming now. That's what we try to do over time, bring non-conforming lots more into conformance, and this is doing that. I think the design of the house is consistent with the area and the other houses that are there. I do think the side-loading garage is creating a problem. I'm familiar with modular homes, and sometimes you need to bring a contractor in on site to make some changes. But if this were conditioned upon Bill Burr signing off and making sure that the stormwater is managed and that the storm pipe in the road can handle all this, then I would be okay with that.
Maureen?
I guess my biggest reaction is when I travel through Ringos, I'm always sort of concerned about the nature of the housing stock or the state of the housing stock. And I feel like an attempt to change this to something like that, for me, feels like a really positive effort. I think, flooding definitely, Bill Burr figuring out whether, if this is gonna be a viable way to control the flooding, that's important. But I think in general, the idea of getting rid of something that definitely does not add to the neighborhood and putting something that looks maintained and Victorian in character, to me, is like a contribution to the area.
I agree with all of you. Just, I'm just worried about the grading, and like I said, that's gonna get caught up. Can I get a motion to approve these applications with the condition that it definitely, well, I mean, it's automatic, so it's not even, has to be a condition.
No, I think we should make it a condition.
Okay.
And I think there are 2 conditions that I heard, that windows are going to be added to the left side, to the left elevation.
One per room on the
Yes.
left elevation?
So it's 3 extra
At least
windows.
1 per room.
Right, so there's 1 window now, so the minimum is 3 more windows. Correct?
Right.
Will be added to that elevation, and also that the applicant will address the grading, will have to provide a grading plan to our township engineer, may have to amend the grading plan pursuant to the township engineer's findings, will have to address the drainage and stormwater management to the satisfaction of the township engineer.
And affordable housing.
And of course, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund 1.5% fee, which is required by ordinance.
Yeah, she paid some of it already.
I already paid half of that.
So we have a motion,
So moved.
second?
Who moved? John?
I moved.
Angela?
He moved, I
Okay. Tamara Lee,
Yes.
Angela Louisa, hold on, you're last, hold on. Yeah, Angela Louisa, go ahead.
Yes.
Nellie Nelson,
Yes.
John Zaramba,
Yes.
Marnie Stetson,
Yes.
and Tim Willie.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll make it work.
Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
I hope things go smoother.
I hope so too, that's all.
She's done.
Oh, wait a second, this was.
No, nope.
No,
Nope.
that's the.
That goes back to
It's gonna be a while, but, you can follow up with me.
Today, right? So just so I can get this right. And now we can, get the rest of the planning work back.
Again, we're all toothbrush when they come back.
Yeah.
We all got that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Jake's clothes, so I'm ready.
There you go. That's not fair. Every once in a while, your voice just
Need something bright.
evacuates, it just leaves the building.
Changes the mood.
So frustrating.
I'm kind of used to it.
My husband might like that, actually.
It bothers people though, like when I talk on the phone, like it just totally like goes out. They're like, "Hello," and then they're like, "I think we lost connection." Then they hang up and they call me back. I'm like, "No, I have no voice."
We didn't talk about us when we were gone.
Welcome back. No time.
Yeah, right. You think we'd be done by now?
Probably not.
John's just, step up for a second. Give him 1 second and we'll move on here.
Oh, John, what are we waiting for?
Stop.
It's my bedtime.
Passed mine by a
I
long
got
shot.
15 more minutes. You want my bedtime?
That's the cheat sheet I was looking for.
We received a letter from Jackson Ryder that he needs to relocate to New York, so he's going to be resigning from the planning board. So can I get a motion to accept his resignation with regret, please?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Unfinished business. Master plan amendment.
Sure.
Elena.
Would you like me to go
Yes.
over the draft land use plan element? As you guys know, we had been working on a land use plan element for the local business, highway office, village, and residential districts in East Amwell. You should have all gotten a copy of it. I'm going to kind of briefly go over the plan just to kind of give a little informal overview of how it's structured. We did develop a community vision as part of the plan element, which sees East Amwell as a farming community, working to preserve farms and supporting the farmers. However, since the nature of farming is changing, the township is seeking support for farmers by implementing land use policy to support a diversity of farming types and also provide opportunities for economic sustainability. And so within the land use plan element, we did add a couple new goals. The existing goals we kept in the plan, and we added some new goals and objectives, including, how to remove and manage existing regional traffic through the village and the local business district, promote development and growth in appropriate areas in the township, encourage land uses along the highway corridors to support the farming community, and provide additional amenities to residents and visitors, foster small-scale neighborhood development in the village and local business district, using flexible land use classification and appropriate bulk standards, and to also make it easier for existing undersized residential properties to develop appropriate quality of life enhancement by providing a sliding scale standard for undersized lots. We also recommend that, to encourage the preservation and restoration of the township's older housing stock, and to ensure that future development is compatible with the local vernacular architecture that defines the area. Also included in the plan, we do provide some demographics breakdown for the entire township, some household income information from census data, employment data, and also some development trends information. We also review the existing land use and zoning of all these districts. We did conduct a site visit out into East Amwell last summer where we inventory a lot of these areas. And we kind of provide a breakdown by zone and by the land use type, in the township, within these zones. I'm gonna kind of skip ahead to, some of the recommendations of the plan, which is kind of the bulk of the plan and the important parts. So for commercial development, within downtown Ringo's, the first recommendation is to amend the permitted uses in the local business district and the village district to allow districts to evolve with the changes in traditional retail, specifically by broadening the permitted uses to allow more flexibility while promoting uses appropriate for a rural community. Some of the standards, like for example, in the village district currently, it's only single-family homes, parks and playgrounds, firehouses and municipal facilities, houses of worship and antique shops. However, attached to antique shops are a variety of conditions, including being located in a house that's older than 50 years as of 1992, and it's like, do you want something to develop here or not? So, like, it's, you know, it's very restrictive. It's very difficult to, you know, encourage that kind of economic development if it's attached to too many strings. So we kind of we do recommend that a broader range of retail use would be better rather than just singling out solely antique shops, to help, you know, revitalize Ringo's. And we also recommend that any new uses the township considers for the downtown be compatible with the farms and farmers located in the Amwell Valley District. We also recommend, based upon feedback from the Master Plan Subcommittee and also from the Ringo's Village Advisory Committee, we also recommend, you know, that there are some existing mixed-use buildings in the downtown, even though, you know, there's no sewer or water service. So we do recommend that, you know, if sewer and water is adequate for the development, it could be considered to be permitted. However, it should be limited to 3 stories. With some appropriate architectural design stipulations, so that way it blends in with the character of the community. In addition, within the local business and village district, we also consider to allow for the transition of residential buildings into commercial or mixed-use buildings along Old York Road. However, you know, we recommend that, you know, adequate parking and septic and water should all be provided as part of that kind of package deal. It would also support the existing building stock and historic atmosphere and provide a wider range of properties for which businesses could move into and open the doors to private investment to improve the aesthetics of the buildings and properties. We also recommend that the township investigate and consider a permitting process that streamlines the approval process for temporary or pop-up uses within Ringo's. These kind of pop-up uses have been becoming more and more prominent, especially among the COVID world. Kind of like an outdoor pop-up market, similar to a farmer's market. It doesn't have to be necessarily farming related. It's a great way for, you know, small-scale local business owners can attract artists and antique dealers. And also it would also encourage, you know, a formalized pop-up market event could also encourage shoppers to stay in East Amwell for the day and also attend, you know, go to and patronize other businesses in the area. We also recommend that, you know, you remove all of your antique shop standards in the ordinance because they're just very complicated to understand and a little restricting, I'll say. We also recommend that, you know, new bulk standards be developed for non-residential uses in the village district. For example, non-residential uses have the same bulk standards as single-family uses, which kind of so so to kind of help stimulate and attract new businesses coming in, we recommend that, you know, bulk standards be developed for those non-residential uses. And then the last recommendation for the Ringo's area specifically is that, you know, with the, hold on, I didn't highlight anything. There's a couple underutilized sites that is zoned in the, sorry, give me 1 second. So within the plan, we did do some little investigative GIS and site visits. And so I put together a map in the document of the non-residential properties in Ringo's Village. And we also call out two specific underutilized sites. One of them, I believe, is the gas station mechanic shop that's for sale, and the other is just kind of this like vacant garage that's kind of dilapidated. So we recommend as part of this plan to, look at those sites as opportunity sites to help to implement some of the provisions and recommendations in this plan. As for the highway office district and highway corridors, we recommend that the highway office district be broadened to outside of just highway offices. Highway offices are kind of a dated concept, especially in the age of COVID with everybody working remotely. You don't get too many new office buildings going up too much anymore. So we could recommend that, maybe to rename the zone highway business and also to permit additional uses within that zone. And then we also recommend that the township either broaden the definition of a farm market or create a new use that allows for the sale of handcrafted items such as furniture. Since these items tend to go hand in hand with farmers markets and are often complementary uses that support local craftsmen as well. We also recommend that the highway office district be amended to add breweries and distilleries. These uses tend to be related, if not located on farms, or can be located on farms. And so we recommend that, East End will consider, permitting additional uses within the highway office district. In addition, along the 202 corridor, we also think that would be appropriate to develop multi-purpose and seasonal spaces that can accommodate various uses and events within the highway office district, such as seasonal holiday markets, craft shows, fall festivals, pumpkin carving events, educational events, flea markets, seasonal festivals, and etc. And that any type of event should be coordinated with the Ringo's Village Advisory Committee to ensure that it brings together local, regional farmers, crafters, and antique dealers, and that they would essentially function as community spaces. We also recommend that the township consider allowing event spaces in the highway office district along the Route 202 corridor, event spaces that can be used for, larger life events such as weddings, anniversaries, birthday parties, and so on, and to kind of keep it along the 202 corridor where the local roads won't be impacted by additional traffic. We also recommend that experience-based commercial uses be encouraged along the 202 and 31 corridors, like the hatchet throwing or archery or even escape rooms. They tend to be newer kind of popular uses. We also recommend that the township coordinate with the DOT and try to implement tourist-oriented directional signs along 202 and 31 corridors. And we also recommend that while it's not located in these existing zones now, we recommend that maybe Orlando's Cafe might be rezoned to one of the business zones since it's an existing business in the township. As for residential development, we recommend that a sliding scale be implemented for the undersized properties in the village and residential districts. I know this has been talked about at length, and we are recommending it be done in the master plan amendment. We also recommend that the local business district provide its own set of standards for residential development in the bulk schedule. And then, in addition, coordinating with the Ringo's Village Advisory Committee, we also recommend the township consider adopting a property maintenance ordinance, potentially preparing an area in need of rehabilitation study pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law. We also recommend plus with the rehab designation, it could provide tax abatements on improvements for a period of 5 years to help stimulate interest in redeveloping the downtown and within East Amwell, pending on the boundary delineation. We also point out in the plan that there is grant funding available for low-income homeowners who can't afford to maintain their home or property. These programs include Hunterdon County Housing Rehabilitation Program, the Single Family Home Repair Program, Section 504, and also a DCA program for weatherization assistance. And in addition for the roadways, we also point out, since Ringo's has, state highways, county roads, local roadways, it can be a jurisdictional barrier, I'll say. So we do point out a couple different grants that are available with the local safety program, the high-risk rural roads program, and transportation alternative set-aside program. And that the township should continue to work with the state and county to address these issues, and to also, use all of these major roads to the township's advantage by attracting people to stop and visit in Ringo's. We also recommend a couple of general recommendations, including amending the zoning code to permit electric vehicle charging stations. There's a model statewide DCA ordinance that was developed because now it's a requirement, I believe.
It is.
Everywhere, essentially. So to adopt that, and to review and update the definitions of the zoning code, and that I believe the township did adopt the new stormwater management rules. That's correct. I'm not sure if it was adopted when we first drafted this, but I'll double check that, and if we have to tweak that recommendation, we can. We recommend just to kind of clarify conditional uses in each of the zones and throughout all of the zones in the ordinance, since there's some are permitted subject to conditions, some are conditional uses in their definitions. So it's just kind of a matter of clarifying it and fixing it, exactly. And we also, in the local business district, the books schedule explicitly exempts the conditional use service stations from the bulk chart. And so we also recommend that, all conditions associated with conditional uses, including bulk standards, be addressed in their own conditional use section rather than within the bulk chart. We recommend that to review and update the parking standards as appropriate, and also to review and update the sign standards and determine whether separate sign standards would be needed for the village zone, local business, or highway office or highway business, or whether maybe the village and local business should have the same set of standards. But to make the determination, review, and update as necessary. And we also have a recommendation about the township's historic districts. As you know, there's a couple historic districts in the township, including one that's in Ringo's. And so we recommend, to determine, whether the existing historic preservation committee needs to have more input on applications before that come before the planning board. And so if so, to have an updated historic preservation element of the master plan be prepared, and also to prepare the historic preservation ordinance that reestablishes the historic preservation committee and with design standards and so on and so forth.
Elena, also too, if you can look at ordinance 90-06, that's the historical preservation ordinance that was done in 1990. In that ordinance is a section for repairing and doing for the historical properties, and if you don't maintain it, there is fines and different things in there. So I'd like you to take a look into that. I brought that up to the village too, which I'm also on, so.
Sure. I'll definitely take a look at that.
Because I would like to get that implemented in the master plan somehow.
Sure. I'll coordinate with Krista to see if I can get a copy of that ordinance, and I'm not sure if it's been repealed over the years. It hasn't, it's all, okay.
Yep.
And we can definitely try to incorporate that as a recommendation to maybe consider enforcing or whatnot.
Definitely.
So John, what are you saying? It's an ordinance that exists
It's an ordinance.
on paper only?
And nobody enforces it?
Nobody enforces it. It's the ordinance 9006 that developed the Historic Preservation Committee and gave it authority to actually go out and, if we, somebody defined, and do, I believe it was like $100 a day if they don't, for the first 5 days, and it's $150 a day for the next 5 days, and then after 10 days, if they don't fix the property, do anything, it's $250 a day until they abide by it.
Okay.
So, but
What
it
did
is
you
in
say
there.
the section was?
It's not,
90-06.
it's not in the ordinance, it's not in the ordinance book.
Then it's never been codified?
It's not codified.
Or it was changed. If it wasn't codified, then it was
I
amended.
can't enforce it if it's not codified.
Well, sure.
Well, if it's not adopted,
Well,
I should say.
We'll look into it.
Yeah, we'll look into it, because I believe it was codified.
If it was adopted, then it should have been codified, because the
Right.
codifiers would have caught it, so it may have been,
Repealed?
they may have been repealed, it may have been changed.
I couldn't find anything on the, on the website or anything like that. So. It's 90-06.
Yeah.
Chapter 90?
90, yeah.
Chapter 86, Historic Preservation.
Okay.
It does cite this ordinance as
96.
developing,
Amendments to it were applicable.
Well, I'm bringing it up.
but yeah, I'll take a closer look through this, because it could have been that it was amended and.
It was amended.
It was amended, it said, in the ordinance.
Okay. Never got the amendment.
And that's pretty much all of a brief review of the plan that we have prepared. I try to keep it quick because I see people yawning.
I'm sorry.
I tend to talk really fast sometimes, so. So does anybody have any questions or comments or anything for me?
Marnie, Natalie, and I have been working with Elena on this. Elena has incorporated all of our comments, I think. Marnie, unless you had some? No, I think, no. So
You got
it's
everything.
really, this is really for, the rest of you. I mean, you've had a chance to look at it. Are there things you have, you want to change, or things you think we should change?
And again, just bringing up that ordinance is, yeah.
Just bring up the maintenance, have something in here about the maintenance of historic structures.
Right, because I believe that is really keeping a lot of people away from Ringo's.
Mhm.
It is the maintenance of these buildings in the Ringo's Village, and people, look at it to come into town, and there really isn't a town to come into.
Right. So we could put something in here about, looking into mechanisms for,
For maintenance.
for promoting maintenance of historic.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it may be an ordinance, it may be, a tax abatement. It may not be, it doesn't necessarily have to be a hammer.
Right.
It could be an incentive.
I can definitely add something along those lines.
I'm sorry?
I could definitely add something about
Yeah.
promoting the maintenance of historic structures.
Right. And I don't think that would be a substantial change to this document. I mean, the objective tonight is if the board is satisfied with this document, then the next step is to move for a public hearing and present it to the public, at which point we would listen to the public and then decide if we want to actually adopt it. So that's where we're working towards. So your comments tonight are kind of important.
Well, I've,
I've given all my opinions.
Learning how
And all
to.
our zoning issues will be addressed in this, right?
They'll be recommended to be revised
Revised.
for these specific zones.
right.
And
Okay.
then ordinance can then be drafted,
Okay,
which
yeah.
address
Okay.
and then be implemented.
This is the first step.
Okay.
It includes all these recommendations. Ordinances have to be backed up by the master plan.
Right.
So this would
This is
create the foundation for
Okay.
ordinances. Now, it's, to some extent, it's up to the township committee to set priorities for which of these recommendations we do first.
Okay.
Unless we feel really strongly, we can do them and then send them to the council. we're gonna work hand in hand, but ultimately it's gonna be the governing body that
Okay.
adopts the ordinances.
Okay.
We adopt this.
Well, let me ask you then, should a copy of that be sent to the Historical Preservation Board and also to the Village Advisory Board for their comments?
The Village Advisory has already,
They got it?
they already looked into, they already gave their comments.
Okay, well, that's news to me, right, for the meeting, but, okay, but on the Historical Preservation, we meet next week, so I'd like it to be forwarded there, so some of the board members can give their comments too. That's okay.
I think that's fine. I think we would probably entertain those comments at the public hearing at this point.
Okay, that's fine.
But if we actually have to if we wanna have a public hearing, we have to make a motion and vote on it.
Mhm.
That's the thing.
I'd still like a copy sent to the board.
Understood. Understood.
So just so I understand it, if we all agree to, the next step is gonna be a public hearing, we take the information from the residents, and we're gonna tweak this a couple of more times if need be, right? So,
If the public makes comments that we think need to be addressed in here, then it comes down to, are they substantial comments or are they, insubstantial? If they're insubstantial, we can adopt this subject to some minor changes. If the public brings issues up and we decide we do want to incorporate that in here and they're substantial, then we will probably not take a vote on adopting this, revise it, and then we have to go through this whole process again. We have to we have to review it, we have to decide to have another public hearing, and so on and so forth. Right. But as we've talked about master plans, once this is approved, this is our our bailiwick.
Right.
Once it's approved, it's approved. It doesn't, the governing body doesn't endorse it, sign off on it, anything. Once we approve it, it's the official amendment for the township.
okay. All right.
So, but do you guys, you're the governing body, do you have any comments or suggestions or anything?
I'm fine going to the next step.
I think it's
Great presentation. You guys are the experts.
Yes.
I'm not, I'm,
Is there anything else that you would like to see happen that's maybe not included in this with respect to these zones?
not that I can think of. To be
Okay.
honest with you, I don't want, I'm not trying to take the easy road. I just don't have anything that is fruitful.
Okay.
And if I do,
That's all right, let me know.
I don't want to just make something up.
Pancake shop.
So, need to get a motion to
Yes.
take this to the public?
Yes,
Can I-
I'll second.
Okay.
So the
We don't waste time.
The motion is to have a public hearing at the March meeting.
Good. I'm good with that.
So,
Is that the 8th, right?
I believe so, yeah.
John Zaremba, can I get a second? No, let's go second.
Second it.
You want to do roll call on that?
You don't need to, you can do it all in favor.
All in
for that.
favor?
All in favor?
It's the ninth.
Aye. Opposed? All right, there you have
All
it.
right.
And Krista will give notice.
March 9th.
Right.
March
And
9th.
Krista, I'll coordinate with you. I know we want to add some photos and stuff to make the plan look a little bit prettier than this. So we'll do that, and then I'll coordinate with you to get you whatever hard copies you
Okay.
need for noticing.
And Elena will do the presentation to the public? So basically, we have to explain this to the public so that they can,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be great.
I'll do a
Just
little
wanna make
bit,
sure
little
she
bit
knows
more,
that.
little bit more detail than what I did tonight.
Oh, look at me, I'm not done.
You're going
Why
to tell her to do
not?
it. That's what-
Yeah, I'll do the presentation to the public.
Anybody who owns will throw them out.
All right. This one, and it's on before the board.
Great.
I need a gazebo then.
Re-exam report,
Off
Pam?
my-
Oh, the re-examination report, okay. So Elena gave us a proposal back in April, I think, last year. And we approved part of it, which was generate this amendment, but there were other line items we did not approve. And we have to adopt a re-exam by the end of next year. That's for 10 years. And
So the end of '23, right?
correct. And I spoke with Elena, and she said they don't need to revise their proposal, so these numbers are still good. So I just wanted us to consider approving some other line items from her proposal. One would be the re-exam, which I believe is $12,000, and the other would be some meeting time, which is another $2,000. This is all, I guess, highly dependent on the budget, which is not settled yet. But I think we need to give her a go-ahead as soon as we can, especially now that this amendment is done, so that she can get moving on that, because it's gonna take some time to put that together. So, Mark, do you wanna talk about the dollars?
Well, there is money allocated. Now, we've only had one cut at the budget so far, and it's been a high-level overview of our budget. We have another budget meeting Monday, which is gonna get more granular. So I guess the way to word this is that we can approve it pending what the budget outcome, what it looks like, if we can allocate the dollars there. There's money allocated now, but is it gonna make the cut? We're not sure. All right, so if we can do it that way, I don't know if you can structure the vote that way, or.
Well, my suggestion would be that the board authorize Tim to approve this if the budget is passed the way it needs to be done. And that way we don't have to come back to another meeting and look at it again. And, you can just be in touch with Mark, and when the budget's approved, you can give Elena a call and say,
Go.
yeah, go on the re-examine the meetings, if that's okay.
When do you plan to adopt the budget?
I would say probably March, right? Hopefully, fingers crossed, March.
Was that out loud?
Yeah. At least introduce it to, they want to get it done as quick as possible. So, like I said, we only did one cut, and it was very high level at it. And this Monday, right, Monday will be much more granular, so we'll.
The board can consider that at a later meeting, since
Granular.
Elena still has to work on the amendment.
You could do that too?
Yeah.
Oh, does the planning board have the meeting before council next month? Again?
In March,
Yeah.
we're before them, yes.
Yeah, we should be okay.
Well, if it's introduced, but then when is it going to be adopted? How many meetings do you have a month? 1, 2?
We have one meeting a month.
One meeting a month.
One.
I mean, if we're all okay with it, why don't we just get it off the agenda and make it Tim and Mark's problem?
Thanks for that.
If there is a problem, we'll come back here.
The board can always authorize directly Elena, just subject to the money being available. And if the money's not available, then it's back here.
All right, we can do that.
Back here anyway.
I'm fine with that.
Right, so I'll move what you said.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you have it.
Okay. You have everything but your start date.
And a check.
Check, right, check.
I don't care about start dates, I worry about checks.
Good checks, too.
Next on the list, focus group meetings, Tam.
That's moving along well. We have our first focus group meeting scheduled for the 22nd. That's with the larger farmers. We're still getting responses from the smaller farmers and the horse farmers, so we haven't finalized
So you
those
haven't put a
plans
date
yet.
together?
We haven't even started reaching out to the last two groups, but we are making progress, and we'll get there. But that's where. I just want to bring up two other things, if I can, if nobody minds, I'll be real quick. The Historic Preservation Committee asked me to come to the meeting on the 15th, so I'm going to do that. You remember I went and spoke with them about doing a historic preservation ordinance. I think there are some other issues, including traffic and speeding and whatnot through the historic district, so we're just gonna go chat and I'll let you know how that goes.
Okay.
And also, Tracy Carlucci reached out to me. Board of Health wants to know if we are interested in participating in an ad hoc committee to discuss food trucks and revising the ordinance for food trucks. They did a first pass at it, and we all reviewed that, and we saw problems with it. So they're trying to regroup, and because there were planning issues, they thought it would be good to collaborate with us. So she wants to know if we're interested, if there are any, she'd like at least 2 planning board members on that ad hoc committee. So she wanted me to see if anybody's interested in working with them on that.
Anybody?
If not, I'll tell her, not, maybe not. We
I'd
kind
like
of have
to,
our
but
hands full, right?
Yeah, I'd like to, but
Yeah.
the weather's improving and I have other things.
I'm all committed out.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Master plan, but you ever go on?
okay, I will pass that on to her.
Unless we sign up some new members and put them right on there.
Since Mike Mills ain't here, let's tell him he's on.
Mike Mills just.
Show up, you get on the ad hoc committee.
Got him on other things.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, oral reports, Mike's not here. Marnie, Environmental Commission?
So we have been all about grants. We've been looking at grants about the electric charging station, and we're applying for 2 grants. They're also PSE&G funded grants, and they're designed around looking at our forest plan for the township and also like tree planting initiative. And we will hear about those, whether we get them or not, in April.
Okay. That's PSE&G?
Well, it's through Sustainable Jersey, but the funds came from PSE&G through Sustainable, the process is through Sustainable Jersey.
So I paid for that. On that side. Krista, you have anything?
I just want to bring up if anybody's interested in moving the meetings up like a half hour or an hour.
Start time?
Yes,
Like 7?
yes.
I don't have
Can we
a,
do that?
Fine by me.
Can we just move it? We can just move the meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
I personally don't have a problem with it.
I think.
Well, we did the township committee, you know, and so we moved it to 7 as a regular township, and then
I
whatever.
just think it would help with hearings and things.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
everybody good with that?
so you wanna move this
Yeah,
meeting
this meeting
to
to
7?
7.
Does it work for
One
you?
time, or
No,
all the
for-
time?
For future, does it work for you, or is that gonna
Oh,
be?
no, it's fine for me, but when we advertise for the year,
I'll renotice. It's-
okay, perfect.
No, I totally have it all under.
Yeah,
Perfect.
this from
This is like a
next
dream.
meeting forward.
No, I got the noticing all figured out. I'm good at that. I'm good at that now.
Yeah, from next meeting forward,
So-
ongoing, then
Okay,
from 7.
perfect.
starting March. 7
March
o'clock.
meeting on,
We can do that.
let's
Mhm.
start at 7.
The only thing is that, you know, the Historical Preservation Committee donated to the Society for the calendar, and in the calendar, it says all our meetings are 7:30, just to let you know.
Well, I can't control that.
I understand.
And you have to change it on the website too, make sure.
Okay, so we're all good? All right, I'll notice it. Thank you.
And
Do we
if
need
there,
to vote on it, or?
and if there are any applicants that are coming, they have to be told. So when they
Oh,
give their notice, it'll be
absolutely.
proper.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, I give them like a sample notice with all
Okay.
that in there, so,
okay, perfect.
thank you. That's all I have.
What do you got? All right. I don't have anything. Can I get a motion to approve these vouchers?
Second.
Just to note, we ran out of grant money. Per Margaret, there's no more grant money, so she's
The
gonna be.
Ringos grant?
Yes,
We've gone through it.
we've gone through it. So that's why, this one is on here.
Okay, have we asked for reimbursement yet?
She's going
doing
to,
it.
yeah, she's handling all that.
All in favor?
Oh, so he moved it. No one moved it yet.
I move that we pass the
Marty.
vouchers.
Second?
John.
John, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good to go. Can I please have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Open to the public. Francis?
You wanna go? No, okay. Whatever happened to Francis Gavin? Whatever happened to the senior housing that was gonna be around the firehouse? I know the property has changed hands. Part of the land's gone to some residents on Ortsville Road, but is anything going on with that?
Yes, so their application was denied, needing more information. So they're gathering up the information that is needed for their application to be complete, and they should be coming back shortly with a full application.
Well, is there any kind of rough information that can be put out on the website as to what their broader intent is? Because people keep asking what's going on with that.
Not until we have
Not
not until we have a deemed complete application.
Was the stuff up there from when they came and did that presentation or anything? Because it was all in Rick's pocket for a year.
I don't have any answers for that, Francis. Like I said, it's not, the application hasn't come before us, so
No,
we
it's an
don't,
incomplete
until it comes
application.
through
It's not
Krista,
complete.
it's not,
And when you
Not
come
privy.
up with applications, it would be really helpful if you would time it and then hold on to the timing, since you route things to historic preservation to review, and then the meeting is after the hearing's already been held, because it sort of kind of makes it a bit of a moot point. So if somebody is in a hurry to get something through, I can appreciate that, but the process of, well, we want this board to do this and that to look at it, it's kind of disingenuous that they never get to the historic preservation until after they've already been heard, held, discussed, and reviewed.
Yeah, this last one,
It's not the first time, Kristen.
no, I know, but I missed this one this year, this application.
You know, just, and guess the calendar's gonna have to go through another iteration of edits. Anything else changing this year on board meetings? $45 an hour? That's it.
anything? Can I get a motion to close to the public, please?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, everybody got their correspondences. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, folks.
You want it?